The Corpse of God by E.H. Amos. Deacon. I looked up. The person who said my name was a stranger, but they didn't ask my name like a question. They said it with confidence, as if they knew who I was. The stranger was wearing a tweed paddock coat, dark brown and plaid with colors of rust and citrus. He was wearing navy blue slacks, polished black Oxfords, and wearing a pair of black leather gloves. His face was classically handsome, a chiseled jawline, clean-shaven, and a head of short, well-groomed hair. "Yes," I said. "That's my name. I'm sorry, do I know you?" "No," the man said, "and you won't get the chance. I'm moving somewhere very far away, but I have some news I think you might want to hear first." "News?" I asked. "Yes, but I don't know if you're ready to accept it yet." I couldn't help but smile. "So it's bad news, then?" The man did not smile back. "The worst, I'm afraid. Do you have a few moments to discuss it with me? Or am I wasting my time?" He cleared his throat once and bowed his head for a second, as if considering his next words. "I don't mean to be rude, but if you don't have the time for me, I will understand. But I need to know now." "I can't even begin to know how to answer that question," I said. "I've no idea who you are, nor do I even know your name." "Those are part of the conversation," the man said, "if you choose to have it." I looked down at my laptop and the papers spread around the table of the cafe I was in. I'd been yawning just moments ago and so focused on my work that my cup of coffee was barely halfway empty and getting cold. It couldn't hurt to take a break, and there were worse ways to clear one's mind for a few minutes. An image of Marlboro Reds flashed in my mind, and I shook my head, trying to dislodge the unwelcome thought. I didn't have any, anyway, and there was a reason I didn't buy them to have around anymore. "Sure," I finally said. "Why not? Take a seat, Mr. "Mister," he said. "Just Mister is fine." "Well, now that's hardly fair. You know my name." "I don't have a name," Mister said. I smiled again. This should be fun, at least for a little while. "Everyone has a name, Mister, or at least everyone needs one. Why don't you pick one now? Just pick any name you like. It's a luxury not many people get." "All right then, I choose Mister." I chuckled. Fine. So tell me, Mister, what's the urgent news that I might not be ready to hear?" "I'm an angel," Mister said. "God died today." Oh, fantastic, I thought. A religious fanatic. This probably won't be as fun as I thought. But at least this one believes God is dead, so maybe he won't try to convert me. "You know," I started slowly and carefully, "I think you're right, Mister. I may not be ready for this news." "It is grave indeed," Mister said. "But I was the only one who believed an explanation was owed to his most beloved creations before our departure. It is unfortunate that you do not believe I am who I say I am." "Well, I didn't say that, did I?" I asked in mock offense. "Please," Mister said. He leaned forward and stared at me. His eyes were an intense shade of gray, almost like silver or platinum. Something in his expression told me that, at the very least, this man believed every word he said to me. Did that make him crazy? Or worse, did that make him dangerous? Mister put a gloved hand on the table and leaned back before continuing. "Don't patronize me. Treat me as who I say I am, for you will not see me again after I depart." "Then can you prove your identity?" I asked. "Can you prove yours?" "As a matter of fact, I can. I have my ID in my wallet right now." "That is a plastic card that claims you are human. If I have a plastic card that says I'm an angel, would that make you believe me more or less?" "Fair point. Can you perform a miracle?" "Yes and no. Our power comes from God, and he is dead. I have some power left, but I require its use for my departure. So how will you use it to return? And where even is there to return to? This body must perish for me to return, and my power is to guide my destination to that of heaven, though it be empty aside from my kin who have yet to depart for realms unknown. I hesitated. Did Mister just say he was going to kill himself when this conversation was over? I don't know how much stock I would put into what he said, but at the same time, this was a total stranger who somehow knew who I was. I decided to change the subject. You knew my name, I said. How? We see all the workings of man, Mister said. And you chose me. So, why? For there is another message, Mister said with an unsettling tilt of his head. One to come after mine. From who? Vestige 2. I froze. How did he... Vestige 2 wasn't exactly private information, but this man had to have done his research to know that my team was expecting new pictures to come in from the deep space probe at some point today. If this was a prank, it was a well-planned one. The only way to know for sure was to keep poking for more information. I needed to prod at the weakest parts of what he was saying, that he was an angel and God was dead. What killed God, then? I asked. If he is almighty and all-powerful, what could have possibly killed him? We don't know, Mister said. That's why most of my kin have fled the very fabric of this world. We can only guess at what happened. Perhaps he killed himself for some reason. Perhaps he created something powerful enough to kill him. Perhaps there was something else. Something out there. Mister looked up at the ceiling. In the beginning as well, but hiding. In the darkness where God never said, "Let there be light." Mister sighed and looked down at his hand on the table. So many, many times. I've nearly forgotten just how many times. We came to give a message to your frightened people. Each time we've had to tell them, "Be not afraid." And now there is none who can tell me the same. I felt a chill coming on, but I fought it off. I didn't want Mister to know he was getting to me. I put on a fake smile and said, "That's an excellent line, real spooky." Then I shivered against my will. I tried to keep the smile on anyway. Are we done here then? Mister asked. I dropped the smile. No, we aren't, I said. I'm sorry, I just get the feeling you're trying to unsettle me on purpose. And not because you need me to believe you, but because it's in some men's nature to unsettle those around them. It could be for their amusement, it could be by accident, or it could be because they're unsettled and perhaps want someone to share in their discomfort. It is the latter, I believe, Mister said. Angels are no strangers to fear. You must know now that we have even seen the Son of God die before and be resurrected. But the Holy Spirit is gone, and the Father is cold, and he told us not of a plan. Was there ever one to begin with? I asked. I don't intend to be antagonistic, but I hardly saw the workings of God before his death. Mister nodded, disappointed but accepting. It often does seem that way from such a small place with such a limited view. But there was one. He shared it with us. What was it? I asked. There is too much to tell, Mister said. Suffice to say, it involved his return to Earth and the rapture of his people, and leaving behind those who, through words or actions, have told him they don't want to be where he is. And what about the rapture? I asked, restraining myself from reaching up to use my fingers for air quotes around the two words. Why? Why have us live here on Earth if the end goal is just to take us off of it? Why not just start off with paradise? For the first time since I met him, Mister had the barest shadow of a smile at the corner of one mouth. He did, Mister said. Adam was ill content with it for reasons I cannot fathom. As for the rapture, God could only bear the suffering of humanity for so long, but each moment he tarried was another chance for someone to accept his gift of forgiveness for sins, and so he continued to give second chances, and third, and more, For over 2 millennia. Sin, I said. Speaking of sin, hell's real, and it's a place he sent people? God was the embodiment of pure love and comfort and peace. People who despise God and wish to spend their eternity away from Him have only one place to go, a place that is devoid of God's essence entirely, and therefore devoid entirely of love and comfort and peace. It is not eternal punishment, it is eternal separation. There is a difference. And now, I asked, what happens to those that die now? Mr. placed his other hand on the table. I do not know. And those already in heaven or hell, are they still there? I cannot speak for those in hell, for they are out of the view and presence of God and angels alike. But there are still some in heaven, and so I believe there are still some in hell. Some? I asked. What happened to the rest? They were displaced, evacuated from all that makes this realm what it is, and the next. Where that is, I know not. I am to follow when we are done speaking. Fine, I said, thinking hard about what else I could ask to get more information out of him. He had a story straight, it seemed, which meant the true weak parts of this facade, if it was one, would be... No, I thought, what do you mean, if it was one? Are you giving this consideration? Is he actually getting to you? God, I need a cigarette. Listen, I said, this is all very interesting, but I don't understand what the purpose of telling me any of this is. Would you not be curious? Mr. asked. About what? I wouldn't have even known if you hadn't told me. No, he admitted, but you will. I raised my eyebrows. What does that mean? You will know, Mr. said again. You will see the signs of his departure. His plan is no more. His mercy is no more. His grace, his forgiveness, his miracles, they are no more. Even now, in parts of the world covered by darkness of night, things are falling apart at a catastrophic rate. It will not be long before the same begins here. Would you not have wanted to know the reason why? Things have been falling apart at a catastrophic rate for as long as humanity can remember, I said. How could it possibly get any worse? You will know, he said again. You will see. And soon. I think we're done here, I said. You're unsettling me, I admit it. Hilarious, I'm sure, but I don't appreciate being unsettled, and I have bigger things to worry about than some stranger spooking me for no good reason, so get lost. I understand, Mr. said. He stood up. When he pulled his hands away from the table, a sense of terror and dread began to fill me. In that case, I bid you to farewell, though I do not see how you could. I felt the dread turn to terror, and the terror to hopelessness. Was he doing this to me? Or was he holding it at bay? What was happening? One more thing, Deacon, Mr. said, reaching into his coat. A parting gift. Consider this your miracle. I was prepared for him to pull out a business card, a piece of paper telling me I'd been pranked, maybe even a gun to rob me. Instead, Mr. pulled out the most pristine and perfect white feather from his coat. He laid it gently on the table and, without a word, turned and walked away. My laptop dinged. I looked down at it. I had just received a message from base. They received a photograph from Visage 2 and forwarded it to me. The subject read, "Wow, beautiful nebula." I looked at the picture. It was a photograph of 2 nebula we had never seen before. It was the reason Visage 2 was sent out to where it was now, to see things never before seen. The first nebula was shaped like an enormous, cosmic-scale humanoid. Its form was twisted and bent at an angle that made it look like a dead body. There was a spot of empty space at the neck, followed by the second nebula, one that looked like a head, with a terrified, pain-filled expression frozen on its dead face. I looked at the body of the message. We're thinking about naming it the Corpse of God. What do you think? I looked up from my computer at the feather left behind by Mister, but it was gone. In its place, a pack of Marlboro Reds.